Hello and welcome to the United Stand. This is your weekend Manchester United Transfer Daily, where we catch up on all the latest Manchester United transfer news. Don't want to talk about City, and give you our honest opinion and get your opinion on it as well. Now, this broke. We've got a lot to talk about as per usual, and I'm glad to announce we've got the return of the Eric Bailly Player of the Day, the player that nobody probably thinks we're going to sign, no one's ever heard of. We've not been linked to, that I believe will sign at least two players like that this summer. And I've got a good one for you today, who plays left back in Spain. But let's start off with James Rodriguez, also playing in Spain with Real Madrid, in case you didn't know. And this broke last night. I didn't feel like reacting to it as breaking news last night, because it's something we spoke about a couple of times on the last couple of weeks of doing the transfer dailies. James Rodriguez to Manchester United from Real Madrid. It's common knowledge he's going to leave Real Madrid, but yesterday it broke on Colombian radio that a verbal agreement has been agreed between Manchester United and James Rodriguez for him to sign this summer. Now, the interest with that is that Colombian radio, James Rodriguez is Colombian. That puts two and two together, but it's not. I mean, it broke on Sky Sports, and people think, oh, Sky Sports are the oracle. Around this time last year, they broke that Gundogan was coming to Manchester United. So, you know, if you can find a transfer outlet that's more than 80% right, then you're doing very well, because they'll be wrong more than they're right. But the James Rodriguez deal does make a lot of sense. George Mendes is his client agent, as is Jose Mourinho. He wants to move. He'd love to come to Manchester United because we're a big club. There's not many places to go from Real Madrid. Bayern Munich, Manchester United, Barcelona. He's never going to go to Barcelona. So Manchester United or Bayern Munich would suit him. He's in his mid-20s. He's a lot younger than people think. He's a very, very good attacking midfielder. When he's been picked for or come on for Real Madrid this season, he's done very, very well. But I think it's unlikely, and I know a lot of you do as well. He just doesn't seem to be the sort of player that Manchester United would want. I like him. I mean, people say there's certain things that I say that this should almost be a United Stand drinking game. When I say tenacious midfielder or wand of a left foot for James Rodriguez, you should take a drink. I'm not going to condone drinking, but I like James Rodriguez. I really do. I think it'd be really useful for Manchester United. I think some people are concerned that it means we wouldn't get Griezmann, which I disagree with. I think you look at Manchester United and we really do lack genuine width. Lingard, as I said, has got the upper body strength of a 12-year-old girl, and although I've seen some good 12-year-old girls shot putters, but also Mata's not really a winger. Martial doesn't want to be a winger. We lack width, but James Rodriguez isn't really a wide player. He's again a Mkhitaryan sort of Mata. He wants to play. He can play anywhere across that three behind the striker, but probably suits centrally better. So I don't think it will happen. I think it's unlikely. As much as everybody thinks it's going to happen, and there is some sort of verbal agreement, I really don't think it will happen. But what I would say, I mean, 6 goals in the last 6 games, as TTX Production says. Jose Hende, I don't want Rodriguez. And I hope we don't pay more than £30 million for him, says Fire Squad World. And rest in peace to Paul Pogba's dad. I mean, that's something we obviously do need to say. But I don't know the full details of that, other than obviously I think a few people are getting a bit concerned that Pogba won't play for the rest of the season. And unfortunately, this is not uncommon that family members of footballers die during the season, and you know, they have a little bit of a timeout and they come back. There is rumour that he knew before the Celta Vigo game and he still played in that. So I mean, it's very sad for Paul Pogba, but I don't think it's going to impact on Manchester United majorly, and certainly the final's not for a couple of weeks yet left. Valencia is a good winger, says Ikiti. Well, he's playing at right back at the moment, isn't he, Valencia? Yeah, so on James Rodriguez, I'm not too sure about it. If he does come to Manchester United, I rate him. I think he's a player looking to reignite his career, but he has been doing really well at Real Madrid. It's just that Zidane doesn't want to play him. So I think he would be an asset to anybody, but I just don't know. I mean, it's a very easy deal for Manchester United to do. There's a lot of rumour about it. I mean, Colombian radio is a bit better than The Sun. And also, I want to come on to the next subject, as you can see on the bottom there. David De Gea, he's leaving Manchester United this summer. It makes me very sad and almost fall into the trap of frustration with people on Twitter when I say things like, look, it's very obvious that De Gea is going to leave. And then you get some people going, oh, wind your neck in, as if he's going to leave. and it gets loads of like interaction and backing. But I think, are people just naive and not really adding the dots? It's a bit like a very simple 3-year-old dot-to-dot game. It's very, very obvious that David De Gea is going to leave. We've had the rumour, we had it way back in March where Herrera said he'd love him to stay, but it's not certain, which I think was a big hint when he's very close to him. We've had the drip effect over the last few weeks that he's going to go to Real Madrid. We've also had the fact that Mourinho's not been picking him, and he's not going to pick him in the Europa League final. And people are like, well, you know, just because he's not going to get picked in the Europa League final doesn't mean he's going to go. I think it's bloody obvious he's going to go. I don't think that's the only factor, but I think it's very obvious he's going to go. When you actually just put it like this, David De Gea, best goalkeeper we've had in a long, long time, player of the year for the last 3 years, best player we've had on the pitch for the last 3 years. Yeah, he's not had the fantastic season, but that's mainly because we've been playing a different game. We've not been so totally reliant on him. Still the best keeper in the world for me with Muir. He's going to happily sit on the bench in a big European final and watch the reserve, who he's better than, pick up a trophy and get all the glory. And people think, oh yeah, he'll be happy with that. He'll just sit there and wait till next season, and hopefully he'll be the Champions League goalkeeper. I mean, I think people don't understand what professionals are all about, competitors are all about. And you can smile and you can be pleased for Romero, but ultimately he wants to win things. He's had 3 years at Manchester United where we've really, really underachieved. We've been poor in Europe. I know we picked an FA Cup up. He gets to a place where he can actually play in a European final and win a big tournament, and he's not going to play because the sub-goalkeeper is going to get it over him. I'll tell you what, he's going, and Mourinho, to be honest, I disagree with him on this. Mourinho is putting his foot down and sort of like, well, you're leaving in the summer, so I'm picking Romero, which I think is short-sighted. I think it's risky. And I think I'm a Manchester United fan that it's upset. Now, I know a lot of you probably aren't upset, but it's upset me because Mourinho's only been here a year. De Gea's been here numerous years, and he's kept us credible for those years when we've been absolutely shocking. And I think if he wants to go back to Real Madrid, and it's Real Madrid, I'm not happy about it, but he's given us more than enough service, and he wants to go back to Spain because he's Spanish and he wants to start a family there and go back to where his family is. I think if he's going, I want him to play in the final, and I want that to be my memory of David De Gea picking up a trophy. So I'm disappointed by it. But for those people who think he's not going to go, I really hope you're right, but I think you're very, very wrong. I think he's 100% going, and I think the minute he's come out and said that Romero's the goalkeeper, that's confirmed. And I know some people think, oh, sentimentality, he's played every game in the Europa League. Pick the better goalkeeper in the final. You pick your number one. You pick your best team. And I think that's a bit naive of Mourinho. But De Gea's going for me. If he doesn't go, I'll do whatever forfeit you want. I'll put the Fellaini wig on. I'll be dancing naked. You won't want that. But I'll be ecstatic because I love David De Gea. I don't want him to leave Manchester United. It's very similar to when Ronaldo went. I loved Ronaldo and I was gutted when he went. And I'll be gutted when De Gea goes. But I have accepted it, and I think it's just very, very, very obvious. And we'll have to deal with that. Damien Wilson is another one. He says, ridiculous to say he's definitely going. He's under contract for a long time yet, and I think Madrid will pay what he's worth. Damien, there's a clause in his contract. I think you're very naive if you think that long contract that he signed a few days after Real Madrid when he was gutted. Do you think he's just going to sign a massive long contract and tie himself to the club? He's 100% got a clause in his contract that allows him to go to Real Madrid if they put a certain offer in. And that's pretty much common knowledge in the press and around the club as well. So, you know, if he wants to go, he will go. And Mourinho's already said that players like that will go if they want to go. Talking about players leaving Manchester United, before I update you on Griezmann and the Eric Bailly player, look, you know, if you think De Gea's going to go, live that dream, and that dream might come true. If you are with me and you think that, great. If you're not, that's what the United stand's all about. It's about generating opinion. I'm not doing it to be obstructive or anything like that. It's what I truly believe, and I truly believe that De Gea should play in the final, and I truly believe that regardless of whether he's going or not, it's just sour grapes, bitter and disrespectful to a club great. Certainly he's been a club great, to not play him in the final. I think it's really, really poor. He's basically just playing reserve games for the rest of the season. That's not how De Gea's career at Manchester United should finish. But that's my opinion. Rooney apparently is very close to a move to China. Well, Rooney could have gone to China in February. Mourinho, if you remember what he said around that time, he was like, I'm not going to stand in his way. If he wants to go, he can go. Which is massive, absolutely massive. I mean, you could say that's another mistake of Mourinho, because like I like De Gea, I know a lot of you like Rooney, and that would have probably annoyed you about Mourinho as well. Look, I love Mourinho. He's the right manager for Manchester United, and I back him. But he will, like I said last summer, there will be things he does that absolutely make you pull your hair out. But that's the brilliance of Mourinho. His stubbornness on certain things is infuriating, but that stubbornness on other things can be the difference between failure and success. But he will frustrate you. Rooney, yeah, could have gone to China in February, turned it down. I just don't think Rooney to China. Whatever you think about Wayne Rooney, he doesn't strike me as one of those people who wants to travel and learn new things. And to be honest, I wouldn't fancy going to China, would you? I know the money's great, but it's not. I wouldn't want to do that with a young family. So I understand probably Rooney offered more money than he can ever earn anywhere, but turned it down because he didn't quite fancy it. It's not got much better for him over the last few months. I think his performances have been very hit and miss again, even though he's had opportunities recently. You think of the Swansea game, shocking. In Europe, shocking. He did play well against Burnley away, but you know, the writing's on the wall that Mourinho can't trust him, and he will look to get rid of him. And I think Rooney's got to make that decision. He sort of said this week, I'll stay at Manchester United, but I'm not happy about not playing games. And I think it's abundantly clear to anybody, whether you're a Rooney fan or not, that he cannot play more games than he is, because he just hasn't got the ability anymore. So he's going to go, and apparently he's very close to going to China, which maybe he's had a second thought and thought, you know what, maybe I do need to go to China because that's where I can earn a lot of money. MLS, I think the MLS would suit him, or maybe Everton, but the problem with Everton is the money. So Rooney, I'd be amazed. You know, I've nailed my flag to the mast in relation to De Gea. I should do it about Rooney as well. I've also said as well that Zlatan's definitely going. I know that upsets a few again, but De Gea, Zlatan, and Rooney, I think that's the hat trick. They will go. Anybody else, I wouldn't like to say for certain that they will go. I know a lot of you think, you know, people like Phil Jones, Fellaini should go. Ashley Young. I don't know. I can't predict that. I've not really heard anything about that. But Zlatan, De Gea and Rooney, I would say with a real certainty that those three will leave United. And it's sad. All three are sad for different reasons, but there you go. Griezmann, update on him. I do believe he'll sign for Manchester United. I think the Champions League will certainly help us achieve that deal. But the news, Atletico Madrid are playing the Audi Cup in July. I think Liverpool and Bayern Munich are in it. And Simeone yesterday was at the launch or promotion of that, and he said, look, I'll see you in July, which means I'll be the manager of Atletico Madrid next year. So a lot of people are putting two and two together saying Griezmann won't leave because of Simeone. I think that's, again, quite naive. Look at the situation Griezmann finds himself at Atletico Madrid. They are effectively a defensive side. Very, very, very well organised, but ultimately quite a defensive, hard-working side, which is great for us if we get Griezmann, because that hard-working ethic is exactly what Mourinho wants in his attacking players. But I think Griezmann will have sort of exhausted the project at Atletico Madrid now. I think it's, you know, in the early days when they were doing well, they won a title, they got to a couple of finals, but I think you know, as what happens with time, you fall into a groove, and I think Atletico Madrid have fallen into that groove now where they'll be challenging in La Liga, but they probably won't win La Liga again. They'll be challenging in the Champions League, but they probably won't win it. And I think that for Griezmann at his age, and he's 26, isn't he now, he'll be looking at, you know, it's been great at Atletico Madrid, but I've got an opportunity now to go and earn a little bit more money and go to a bigger club where they probably are going to play better football and I'm going to get more exposure. And I think Manchester United ticks that box. So I don't think Simeone staying is going to be enough. It was last summer. I don't think it'll be enough to keep Griezmann. I think the bad side of Griezmann's Simeone saying is more if you wanted Oblak like I did to replace De Gea, or if you quite fancied their centre-back Jimenez, or Carrasco as a winger, or Saul Niguez as a midfielder. I do think we'll only get one, and I think it will just be Griezmann. Dan Shaw's on about Rooney, saying the biggest mistake he made was holding the club to ransom. We need a Carrick replacement, Mavella. I agree with that. I do. At the moment, we don't know who that will be. I hope it will be Kessie. I hope it's not Bakayoko. I really hope Chelsea sign him. They seem to be getting really excited, Chelsea fans, that they'll have Bakayoko and Kante. I don't think Bakayoko's all that. I really don't. But if we sign him, I'd trust Mourinho to do it. Cavani, God no. And Lukaku's better than Griezmann, according to Nottingham Forest, have more European Cups than Arsenal. And quite nervous about the Ajax game, says EJ Simmons. Yes, but it's nice to just talk about a bit of transfers and sort of switch off from that a little bit. I am nervous about it. I'm really nervous about the final because Romero's in goal, which, you know, to be honest, it's not as big a divider of... If he plays Fellaini and Lingard, I think that really causes problems. I think if you replace those two, put Mata in the midfield and bring Martial in, it makes us a better expansive side. But I've got a funny feeling, as with Romero, he will stick with Lingard and Fellaini, and I think that Ajax will be rubbing their hands about that. So you know what I think about Fellaini, and obviously he scored the goal, but I'm going to give him a day off. Lingard, I just do not get it. I don't get it at all. I really don't understand why Jesse Lingard plays for Manchester United. As a squad player, I think he's got a use, but Picky, I just don't see what he's contributing at the moment. Anyway, let's talk about the Eric Bailly signing. We do this on the Transfer Daily. We're live every morning at 7 a.m. with the transfer show, and we do one on a Saturday for you as well. And what I have started to introduce this week, because I read a lot of your comments, and we like this, because there is a level of depth to all you lot and your knowledge in relation to United and football. So last year we signed Eric Bailly, who was a real left field signing nobody knew anything about. I believe there will be at least one signing like that this summer. So we're sort of looking around trying to predict who it might be. Obviously we mentioned the winger, Bruma, from Galatasaray in the week, which I think I think he'd be perfect. We need natural width. We haven't got enough natural width. So I think Bruma would be quite a one to keep an eye on. Today's is, I must pronounce his name right, Jose Luis Gea of Valencia. He's a left back. He's 22 years of age. He currently has a buyout clause of £42 million, which is quite a lot of money. But that will come down. These Spanish contracts are very funny. That will come down to about £20 million in 2018 summer. So I reckon you could probably get him for about £25 million. Now, Valencia, as Gary Neville will testify, have not had a great time for the last couple of years in La Liga. However, Gea has actually been one of their best players, plays at left back. He is only about 5'7", so he does lack the height, which would probably pull me away from it a little bit. But he is probably one of the best up-and-coming left-backs in European football. Mourinho has bought left-backs from Spain a few times. When you think at Chelsea, Del Horno, Luis, a player I think he bought from Atletico Madrid. So he does have a history of buying players from Spain, fullbacks. And he is one of the best fullbacks in Spain at the moment. He's got a lot of potential. I think Mourinho with defenders is fantastic. He's a player who likes to get forward. He is very tenacious, but he is good at getting forward. But he's improving the defensive side of his game as well. So he is a player worth thinking about. Valencia left back, and my only concern with him would be his lack of height. I think Luke Shaw is 6 foot. I think Mendy's around that at Monaco as well, and they are more beast fullbacks. But as Theko Deal says, he's gold and we'd like him, and he is pretty good, says Hallam. So Nicholas Critchlow says, you said that Luke Shaw was the best left back. Oh, I'm not turning my back on Luke Shaw. If you watch the United stand, you know full well nothing would make me happier than to see Luke Shaw our left back next year. But I think a lot of us are coming around to the fact that Mourinho obviously doesn't like Luke Shaw. Look at the public comments this year. Then you add into that the fact that Luke Shaw is very injury prone. I can see us signing a left back this season, even if it's just as a backup to Luke Shaw, to sort of like go, well, you can battle it out. Because I don't think Darmian was very poor in the. I mean, Darmian's been fantastic the last few weeks. He stood up to the plate when we've had injuries. But again, on the Thursday night against Celta Vigo, we saw that the bad side about Darmian, not really good at getting forward and getting exposed a few times. Daley Blind, you could say the same. So I think we do need to sign a left back, and I don't think he'll be going with Borthwick Jackson. So Gea is quite interesting. Chad, I agree with you. Ricardo Rodriguez is a good shout out. And Clarkson Kester just talking about Mbappe says, am I the only United fan who doesn't want Mbappe? No, you're not. I wouldn't be disappointed if we signed Kylian Mbappe, but for me, I'd prefer a striker. I probably would prefer someone like Lukaku, certainly Aubameyang, just a bit more experience. We've got youth with Rashford. You can't have everything. We've already got a fantastic young striker with Rashford and potentially with Martial, so we don't need that. Aaron Gage says, if you want a left back, get Leon. We are going to the transfer show. I love it. You know, if you watched the United stand last summer, we have, sometimes we're live twice a day in the summer with the transfer news. I love transfer news. I love researching and watching European football and getting to know players. Not just European football. I'd love us to sign Hirving Lozano from Mexico. I think he'd be absolutely revelation. We need a wide player. Lozano would be bloody perfect. I'll throw it out there. We're not linked to him, but I would love to sign Lozano. And if you've watched United stand for the last 18 months, you'll know how many times I've mentioned him. In fact, if you watch my career mode on FIFA, which is back now on the Mark Goldbridge channel, Lozano scored a cracking goal for me yesterday. So he's part of my squad. I've got my squad on my FIFA channel, on my Mark Goldbridge channel, my career mode. If you look at it, I've not gone out and bought Look, I've not bought a new team. I've still got Twansibi and Bailly, and I've got Luke Shaw, and I've got Blind, I've got Pogba, I've got Martial, I've got Mkhitaryan, I've got Rashford. I've just added Sanchez, I've added a right back, I've added Lozano and Aubameyang up front, and that's basically my team with some youth coming through, and it's doing really well. So I don't want a brand new team. I just want the right sort of players for us. But yeah, you know, we will look at players like Gea and players who have that little bit, you know, the Eric Bailly signing, really, the sort of player that we haven't currently got. That, you know, they're not in the press. I like the signings that Mourinho makes. That Bailly not in the press at all before we signed him, and he's been our signing of the summer. Well researched, well scouted players, off the radar, and that's what we're going to start to look at on every Transfer Daily show. We'll talk about the main news, which we have with James Rodriguez, but we'll also bring in some players because I think you need that depth. You know, the people who watch the United Stand, I read the live comments, I read the comments on the videos. You're passionate about Manchester United and you have a fantastic knowledge of football. There's so much knowledge there from when I was like in my teens and early 20s, and you've got way more knowledge than I had because it was all teletext for me. So people have so much knowledge. So do comment and do get involved because it's fantastic to know. Remember to drop a like on these Transfer Dailies because we will keep doing them. Some of them do really well, but some of them, you know, it's like, should we bother? So if you like the content, you like the visuals that Drawty provides, and you like the interaction, please do drop a like. If you're not watching live, do comment below because if you mention players like Gea, I mean, that's researched by me. But we will go and look at them, and if we think it's suitable, we'll mention it on the show. So Hal, I'm very much aware that real life isn't FIFA, and I don't research players off FIFA, so that's not where I've come up with Gea. Thank you very much. Liam Coughlin loves Eric Bailly. He's so good, he's a beast. Just to go back, I know a lot of you have joined. If you are new to the United Stand, remember to click the subscribe button in the hologram on the bottom right and the bell so that you get live notifications because we are a live notification channel. We will be live tomorrow with a watch along for the Spurs game. I think it's a 4:30 kickoff, so we'll be live at 3:30. Looking forward to that. But if you are watching, my tactics preview is on the Mark Goldbridge channel tonight, where we interact and sort of do how United should set up against Spurs. So that's coming up. But just do get involved. Get involved and let us know what you think about future signings, etc. Because we're going to be talking transfers a lot, and Champions League, if we can get that, will make such a difference. But if you've joined a little bit later, James Rodriguez to Manchester United. We've spoken about it 2 weeks ago. We've spoken about it a few times. Sky Sports broke it last night like it was new. There was a Colombian radio station saying that there's been a verbal agreement between James Rodriguez and Manchester United. It fits. He's got the same agent as Mourinho. We've been on about it for a long time. We know that Rodriguez wants to leave Real Madrid, and Manchester United or Bayern Munich would probably be his two choices. He fits Manchester United as a midfielder. I think he would improve us. He's in his mid-20s with a point to prove. De Gea is going to go to Real Madrid, so you could almost do it as part of that deal. There's a lot of ticks to it. But as I said, I've just got a funny feeling it won't happen. He doesn't strike me as a sort of Mourinho player because his work ethic's not that great. But he's a very, very good player. And maybe Mourinho sees, you know, a player with something to prove, he can improve that work ethic. I don't know. We'll see what happens with it. But that was the big story today. Obviously, I've touched on De Gea. I'm convinced that him, Rooney and Zlatan are going. I think the writing's on the wall for De Gea. I think it's so obvious. So obvious. And if people think that him not playing in the final over Romero doesn't mean he's going, I think get that Nescafe and have a good old sniff of that coffee and wake up. Because do you think a professional footballer at the top of this game, one of the best goalkeepers in the world, is going to happily sit there on the bench and think, you know, it's all right, I will stay here another year because I'm really happy having been here for 3 years, Player of the Year, keeping this club credible. I'm really happy that I'm rewarded with a place on the bench and watching a goalkeeper who I like, who is a good goalkeeper, but I'm better than him, taking the credit. Yeah, I'm really happy about that. And it was very telling about Mourinho's comments, actually. He said that David De Gea accepts it, and he's never seen two goalkeepers get on as well as they do. David De Gea accepts it. He didn't say David De Gea's happy with it, because no player's going to be happy with it, are they? So De Gea will go. I think that's unfortunate, but there we go. Thanks, everybody. My gaming channel, it's not really a gaming channel, but my FIFA career mode's on there, and I will be live tonight with the tactics preview at 8 o'clock. It's Mark Goldbridge. Just type Mark Goldbridge into the search engine of YouTube, and it will take you straight there, and you'll see my career mode, which actually was very good last night, if you've got half an hour spare. But I'll be back tonight. Remember, please do drop a like on the video. Drawty puts a hell of a lot of work into the graphics, and I know you lot do as well. And also, you know, just drop a like for yourselves, because we can't do it without you. James must be played as a striker, says Santanos. I don't think he's a striker at all. We need hard workers, says Matt Grease, like Herrera and Valencia. I agree. And did we get Rodriguez for real, says MZ? Not yet. Not yet. But according to Colombian radio station we have, and he is Colombian. But thanks everybody for watching. I'll speak to you tonight if you're going to watch it on the Mark Goldbridge channel. If not, I'll see you for the watch along tomorrow at 3:30. Thanks everyone. Speak to you all very soon.